I got a question. You're Catholic, right?
Yeah, I'm Catholic.
Now, I'm not an expert in the Catholic faith, but isn't it the case that under Catholicism, women can't be like preachers? They can't be cardinals. They can't be bishops. They can't be anything under Catholicism.
Yes,
but that's just because the priests don't want to molest them.
What the fuck? Okay. But you're a feminist.
Right.
So wouldn't your feminism, equality, how do you reconcile the Catholic faith of barring women from positions of authority in the church with being feminist?
Well, I don't think that feminism, at least in the way that I'm using it, means that women should take positions of power in the church. I think that it means that women are happier women tend to be happier when they do, I guess, the things that they ought to do within the Catholic
social
faith.
construct of what they should do.
I mean, yes, exactly, like pretty much.
Interesting the way the social construct lines up with their own inclinations towards happiness.
Well,
Just
yeah,
saying.
Exactly. I mean, what else would it be, I guess?
I don't understand how you're a feminist then.
She's using it in a different way. That's the thing. You have to understand the term feminism does not mean the same thing to her as what we're thinking.
What does it mean to you? Because I think I've asked that like 3, 4, or 5 times, and I don't understand how you're feminist.
Okay.
How is that different from patriarchy? In your if you don't want patriarchy and you're a feminist, what's the difference?
I'm using the word feminist to mean that I am pro-woman when I talk to other women. That's what I mean. Wouldn't
it be pro-women to allow women to be bishops and cardinals within the Catholic faith?
I think it's pro-women to do things that are beneficial to women, and I don't think it's beneficial to women to have them take positions of power
Should women be able to participate in the workforce?
I guess.
Why shouldn't women be able to participate in the hierarchy of the church?
Because
why would that not be beneficial to women?
Because work and the church and the church authority is a lot different. The church, the priest takes on the persona of Jesus in the Mass, and women cannot do that. And women have their own role in the church, and it's not that. Women can be, obviously very nurturing, and women... women have children.
But how are you not a patriarchist?
Well, I guess what does patriarchy mean? It just means...
It means rule by the father.
Yes.
Okay, so you are a patriarchist, but you're just saying you're a feminist in order to sneak
that's why I'm
when we go into her world, it's the Bizarro universe, and the words flip.
Well, okay? I don't think that's fair. I understand exactly what she's saying. I don't totally agree because I'm not a Catholic. I don't necessarily agree with you on what the gender roles should be or what people ought to do. Mm-hmm. But I understand that your personal views under Catholicism about the church, you're not saying that you agree with all the tenets of feminism. You're talking about using feminism to promote the general well-being of women. What you think that is. It doesn't necessarily align with how you live your own life.
Feminism.
Wait,
I'm speaking. You're using the term you think that's the best way to promote the general well-being of women and their welfare. Even
that sounds like a bunch of woman prattle bullshit to me. I'm sorry, this is nonsense.
Do you not agree with promoting
women prattling?
It's patriarchy. When I say feminism, I mean it's just like...
Well, no, she's not saying her
redefining terms.
Her personal view. No, she's
such a woman thing to do.
Speaking
when I say feminism, I actually mean patriarchy.
Well, you can do that.
She's speaking about two different things. She's talking about using feminism, meeting women where they are.
Yeah, right.
Women are more inclined.
I don't actually disagree with what your little proposal
women are more
was.
Inclined to listen
because you're talking about on a one-on-one.
It's evangelism.
I want to meet people where they're at. I really do want to understand other people.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
And if people are using the word feminism to describe things like I feel oppressed. I feel oppressed by this. Yeah. I think the best way to meet people where they are is to do that.
No. I think the patriarchy's got to come in and smash feminism.
I kind of agree. This all is making... What I'm realizing listening to this is that I long for a time when we didn't have to convince women. Yeah. I long for a time when we didn't have to be
that's not the time we're in.
How to pull them in and make them agree. It's like, how about we just say, this is what you do. This is your
Tell
role.
the men to do
These
that
are
then.
the things you're allowed to do.
Yeah, let's tell the men too, because they're not stepping up.
I just don't think that's a very effective effective way to
I think it's extremely effective because men have the monopoly on force.
It's not happening
and
yet,
if they just say no tomorrow, if the men just say, you know what? No. Your feminism stuff, your women and making the choices and doing what you want, just no. How about that?
That's obviously not, I mean,
that just sounds better.
That's a bad sales tactic.
Let me just.
I don't want to sell women on the patriarchy.
She doesn't care, dude. She's a tyrannical dictator.
It will be a never
Kim Jong-un.
It will be a never-ending torture chamber of. But what about
You're not-
the men?
you're not wrong.
And
You're not wrong.
But what about my feelings? And but what about what I want?
Why do you have to be so pedantic?
Let me just say
women?
this. Let me just say this, okay,
honest.
ladies. Let me just say this, okay. Ever since I became red-pilled based conspiracy woman, my marriage proposals have gone through the roof. So if you ladies are trying to lock in a man, just say something racist and you're good to go.
Fuck.
That's not true.
You know what though? Like I do think it's actually a big red flag for a lot of men if a woman
Isn't
is a
racist?
feminist.
Yes.
They love
A
me
racist,
though.
that's it.
They're being really nice.
Actually,
to
they
me.
might like it a
Cute.
little
You're
bit. They
young
might
and
like
you're
it a little
very
bit.
pretty.
You're going to attract all the
If
Aryan
you were
men that
saying
your
the
heart
same thing at my
desires.
age, it would be over for you.
Also,
I'll be
they're not
locked
going
in
to
by
tell
then.
you, but I'm telling you this. They all have this thought in the back of their mind. As soon as you say you're a feminist, unless he's like really
I have a
sick,
boyfriend, though.
I understand. But in the back, I got to meet your boyfriend. I got to see what his testosterone levels are at. But most of the time, these dudes with high T and that really have ambition in the back of their mind, as soon as you say feminist, they go, "Oh, this is going to be a problem." Always, 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 always. And they're that keeps them from being like, let's go full throttle and like marry this chick and like have kids and all that.
I do have to move things on a little bit. Nicole, you said your extremely religious ex showed up to your house to tell your parents that you were a lesbian because he was trying to save you?
Yes. So
Okay. And
That's where we got the
Never
lesbian.
got the lesbian.
maybe that's what it was. I'm not a lesbian though.
in a state of limerence, you wrote a 20-page document within 2 weeks all about the guy who tried to say you were lesbian, that you liked, that I had known only online for a while previously, and then he drove out to see you in DC, and I immediately stopped liking him, and you ceased all contact with him after we were good friends for a good 3 years?
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what happened. I don't know why I just got into this state. I was friends with this guy for so long. Like, we weren't that close, but then I don't know. He didn't even really like me. I was like obsessed with him, and then I only knew him online because he was friends with my friend's cousin, who I would play video games with. Mm-hmm. So that's why.
And you really wrote a 20-page document?
Yeah, I did. I don't know what was wrong with me. I lost my mind.
Love. That is love. By the way, Pinkerton, I think we missed this. I don't know if you're still in chat. Thank you for the 20 gifted memberships. A couple more notes here, then we're going to get to Julia. Going to you, you said hookup culture is bad for women. I don't think anybody disagrees. You had some disagreements, though, with myself or the show. You said that you disagree that there's nothing suspect about age gap relationships and that it doesn't matter. Do you care to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I was doing a lot of, reflection before the show to make sure I could, really articulate my points if I disagreed. Mm-hmm. So I actually did change my mind about that. I don't think that age gap relationships are a big deal. But I think when people have an ick about something, they should really figure out why. And I realized it was just because it often comes with the power imbalance. But just in the same way, I would feel that way if someone who's really rich was dating someone who's really poor. And
what's wrong with that?
Well, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. I just think it's really easy for someone to abuse their power in that situation. So I guess the threat of someone abusing their power is what makes me uncomfortable. It's not the relationship. Because I think people can have completely genuine, real age gap relationships. And I also do think that a lot of...
Let me ask you a question, though,
go ahead.
On the rich-poor component. Couldn't you make the argument that actually, when it comes to abusive behavior, the person who's poor, who's seeking out the rich person, is much more likely to be the one who's trying to get something out of it as opposed to the rich person?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Like, it seemed like the rich person is going to abuse, that doesn't, I don't know.
I never said
abuse
that.
can happen too, though. Like, the rich person can,
Yeah, it's just there's
lord
clearly
the money
you
over
don't
them.
really even have to be rich to
yeah, there's just
perpetuate
clearly
financial
a
abuse.
dynamic there, and I realized that I was uncomfortable with the thought that someone could very easily abuse their power in that situation, not necessarily with the relationship. So I changed my mind on that.
I think there's a knee-jerk reaction when people think the woman is being manipulated. Everyone's innate reaction is protect the woman. And when the man's being manipulated, it's like, well, he just shouldn't be so stupid, right? Mm-hmm. So nobody cares if it's a 40-year-old woman with an 18-year-old guy.
No, I
They're
still
like,
care.
well, he just wants to bang, and it's fine. But if it's a 40-year-old man with an 18-year-old girl, suddenly the 18-year-old woman, who we consider a strong, independent woman in every other sense, is a helpless,
Ben George
innocent
donated
victim.
$200. There is a fine line between stereotypes and racism. Find a woman that can joke using stereotypes. Stay away from the woman that can't tell the difference.
I feel like this is a personal attack, Ben.
Ben.
Okay, thank you, Ben George. Appreciate it, man. You also said that, well, you changed your position on it, so there's really not much to discuss there, really. You said optics and tone policing are important. Was this about Andrew Wilson,
yeah,
or was this about me?
No, it was about Andrew Wilson.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I don't know. He brings up tone policing sometimes when people say, well, I agree with you, but I don't like the way you said it. I think it's just because he doesn't meet people where they're at. And I don't think he's...
that's a bunch of woman garbage. We have to meet people where they're at.
Do you want to achieve your goals or not?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Do you want the vision that you see for the world or not?
And the vision I see for the world is not going to be met through convincing a bunch of emotional, irrational women that what is reality is non-negotiable.
Why do you have to be hateful
gonna
in your speech?
It's
Like,
not
you never
hateful.
say, you
It's
never,
not
what
hate-
about
this
male
is-
passivity?
It's more woman garbage.
More
to be
woman
like, all
garbage.
I'm saying is
More
that
women
are y'all
garbage.
gonna let me talk?
Y'all, you don't have to say it like that, though. You can just say this is
tone
garbage.
policing.
Just being emotional like
That's
a woman.
tone policing. It's nonsense. This whole I agree with what you said, but not how you said it. That's bullshit. And this is the
emotional.
problem with giving women power, because now suddenly everyone's an HR manager, everyone's a hall monitor.
I just don't
We
understand why
can't
you
tell
have to
jokes.
say woman in front of it.
Because it's a woman problem. Men don't do this. Men don't constantly go,
Okay, so
actually, I agree with you. I
Why
just don't like
why
to
don't you
deliver.
share
I don't think
where
you've watched some
what you think
betas debating.
are
Well, they're
weaknesses
women.
with men in society today?
What's that?
If you truly are telling me
Wait,
that you have an objective
mic
view,
down.
I would like you to share what you think are some weak areas of men in our society. Honestly,
What does that- wait a
Because I
minute.
want to see if you can actually be objective or if you're just a mouthpiece for your husband.
Oh, you think I'm just a mouthpiece?
I do.
Wow, I've never heard that one before, guys. That's brand new to me. I'm just a brainwashed
I guess I couldn't
woman.
think with my woman brain.
Yeah,
so
I can't
had
think.
to do something
well,
reused.
clearly I can't think with my woman brain. But if you'll be quiet long enough to let me talk, I'll tell you. I'll explain this to you.
All ears.
It's because men generally, there's a male hierarchy, right? If you're a man and you act like a little bitch like that, you get beat up. You get stuffed in lockers.
You
You
do.
get a swirly. Women are the only people who run around going, you know, I know that you're correct, but I just don't like the delivery. It made me feel a certain way. I'm in my feelings and I don't like the way that you said it.
It wasn't the way you drove, it was
and
the tone.
Right. And then men who act that way are being feminine. They're being beta feminine bitches, and they get put in their
women
place.
have different tactics.
So
They
do you-
use social isolation.
Beta.
They use defense.
Exactly.
They have
Which
group
is
tactics.
why
So
when
it looks
you're-
different
when
than how
you're
men
parsing out the
are
truth,
aggressive.
right.
When
When you
female
are-
aggression is different.
When you are parsing out the
Okay.
truth, you don't cater to women's stupid fucking feelings.
So
about
you don't
it. Does that
value
make sense to
femininity?
you?
Okay, so
You don't
I value femininity, and femininity means you sit down and you be quiet when people are parsing out the truth and telling you what's what.
Really?
You don't sit there
Why are
and
you
go,
here, then?
"Oh, I don't like the way that you." I'm here,
None
in
of us-
my wisdom as an older woman, to let all of you know that you're full of shit and you're
But
being
why aren't
ridiculous.
you? Why aren't you at home being quiet and fulfilling your
When
feminine
I'm at
role?
home, I am.
She got a hall
quiet.
pass.
But you're here.
When I already said the patriarchy.
But I
and the
would like
gay
you to
pass.
answer my question, and I will respectfully listen, but I would like you to answer my question. And the reason I ask it is because I want to see if you are able to view male and female strengths and weaknesses objectively. Because, this podcast, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume because it is this
So
podcast.
you just want me to name a weakness of men?
I would like
let
to
women
see
talk.
where you think are areas of men in society that are weaker points.
Sure,
Yeah.
I would say that where men tend to go wrong is by being so desirous of women and putting them on a pedestal that they kind of go along and they, fluff them up and go along with their nonsense because they want pussy. And I think that's probably the biggest weakness that a lot of men have.
Is there any weakness that you can list that doesn't have anything to do with women?
Women are not the best at anything.
You sound like a misogynist.
That's not true.
Women are not
We're
the
the best at raising kids. We are the best at raising kids.
True, because
better just hating on your own gender.
I know what you're going to say. Single dads do better than single
fathers
moms.
have a better turnout rate than single mothers.
Ryan, the woman prattles out of control.
Single fathers have a better turnout rate than single mothers.
Okay, respectfully, I would like
Sure.
to, yeah.
So the problem right now is that we have an inverted social order. The social order is not meant to be that we must cater to women's feelings and that women have to be okay with how things are said and they have to approve and we have to convince them and we have to pull them over to our side.
Okay, so
the way it's supposed to be is that the order is men, then women, then children. The men parse out the truth, they write the laws, they enforce the laws, they run society. The women can have their opinions all day, but it doesn't mean that anybody has to give a shit about them. Does that make sense?
So
have
male
your opinion.
passivity. You didn't list that. Do you think men in our society struggle with being passive? Because I would argue that that's something that's a problem.
I think there's I've explained this 10 times. There's a hierarchy among males.
Okay.
The ones that end up at the top running things do not pay any attention to the passive bitches at the bottom, and they get stuffed in lockers. They don't generally get to reproduce. So historically, every one of us sitting here has twice as many female ancestors as we have male ancestors. Yeah. The reason for that is that men have to compete to be worthy of reproduction. As a woman, all you have to do is drop eggs. That's it. Someone's going to come along and inseminate you. You don't have to be special. You don't have to do anything wonderful or unique. You don't have to compete necessarily. Now you can compete for higher quality as a woman, but to reproduce as a woman, all you have to do is be fertile. As a man, historically, you have to compete for the women. So the betas, the cucks, the feminine men, they get used as cannon fodder, ditch diggers. It's tough. Being a man is like really
Here's
tough.
my problem with your approach. As a woman of God, I would assume that you would put value in women, and that's what I don't hear in any of your arguments.
I put value in women as mothers, as wives, as caretakers. I think they don't belong in the workplace. They don't belong in college, with a few very minor exceptions, and here's why. We used to have communities. We used to have women that, like me, would spend their early years raising kids. As they get older and their kids start to leave the nest, they're helping the younger generations raise their kids. They're helping their sisters, their nieces, their daughters raise children. They're working in the church parish. They're working in the community. They're taking care of the elderly. We don't have that anymore because women are all in cubicles working for corporations and paying taxes.
Mm-hmm. Getting sexually harassed by their bosses instead of their husbands at home where they should be.
Where it's fun, where you want the smack on the ass, you know? Mm-hmm. So I know that you don't like my tone, and my message to all of you women out there who don't like my tone is I don't fucking care. I don't care. If you can't get past your own feelings to hear what I'm saying, then you're going to doom yourself to a life of
It's your
misery.
lack of Christ-likeness. That's what I don't like.
But she's a woman. She can't be like Christ.
I don't like that.
So you think Christianity is being nice? It's meeting the approval
I think
of
Christianity
women.
is being. I think kindness is,
being
but it's not the most.
soft.
But you know what God is called? When God describes Himself in Exodus, the first adjective that He uses in Exodus 34, He says, "I am a God of compassion." And so I think compassion is very important. I think God puts more
your
value.
Woman feelings. I think that you're in your feelings right now, and you don't like my delivery. And I'm telling you that I don't care.
So every argument that I've just provided for you is scripture, and you're trying to say that that's feelings.
No, you're not.
So I
giving
think that's
me
a flaw in
scripture.
your.
You're giving me
Exodus
woman
34.
You are filtering your perception of Exodus.
I'm sorry,
through
she's
your
not a
woman
Christian.
feelings.
She's not a Christian. But did I just quote a
Proverbs
literal?
21:19.
Okay, did I just quote an obvious scripture?
Yeah.
You could look it up. You could look up Exodus 34, and it will say, "I am a God of compassion." That's the first. Faithful love. All those He lists four characteristics about Him.
Your standard for compassion for you to accept my
No,
message.
but I think it's.
You're
I think
here
it's,
to make sure that I speak the way that you think I should speak.
No,
you
but
know I have a husband and I have a priest, right? And if they think that the way I'm talking is not correct.
Absolutely.
They will correct me,
but as technically
not you.
worse. No, but technically we are supposed to be part of the same family, like sisters in Christ. And all I'm saying is,
what we need is women who will boldly speak the truth and not mince words and not be subject to the HR management department and the hall monitors who are going to sit
and be at home and be quiet. But now we need
when I'm at
speak
home,
the truth.
When I'm at home, sweetheart, I am quiet and I am submissive to my husband.
Okay, but
I'm here in a panel full of feminists and a panel full of modern women, and so I'm here to tell you all that you're full of shit and that I don't care what you think about my delivery. Argue my arguments. Defeat my arguments. Don't tone police me and say, well, you're right, Rachel. I just don't like the way you delivered it, because I don't care.
You know, your tone doesn't bother me at all. Like, I agree with like a lot of what you say. I just think you're ineffective. I think you're ineffective.
Well, tell that to the Amazon bestseller list, which disagrees.
Boom.
Okay, but you've sold a lot of books, but have you changed anything?
I do. Wait, say your point and then I'll move.
Oh no, I was just going to say, like, selling books doesn't mean you've changed anything.
Oh, maybe the hundreds of messages, letters, and DMs from women around the world saying that they've decided to not go to work, stay home with their kids. You don't believe it?
I don't believe
it.
Okay,
I will share them with you.
I think it's a shame because you obviously have a big platform, and I think it's unfortunate.
She feels bad for me.
It's not that I feel bad for you. I literally think it's. I think.
Listen.
You talk about how you don't. We are always saying I feel. I said I think it's a shame because you have a large platform and you're representing Christianity, and unfortunately, I don't think you're representing true Christian values very well.
I'm sure you don't.
And I'm not saying I did not do a perfect example.
You're a Pentecostal heretic. What do I care what you think?
All right, we're back to the schism.